Good evening and welcome to the fourth virtual appointment of Librorum, the event dedicated to the presentation of some books chosen from those published by our members in the former member association library. I inform you that the presentation is available in English and French by connecting through the Zoom link. I'm Monica Baldi, FMA Vice President, who strongly wanted this initiative born this year on the occasion of the celebrations of the 20th anniversary of our association. After the success of past meetings with former President Jose Maria Robles, who is not present but sends his best regards, Astrid Luling and Alain Lamassoure, today we present the Liber Amicorum of former President Enrique Barón Crespo, una vida dedicata alla costruzione della democrazia europea, with the welcome participation of the President Hans-Gerd Pöttering and a special interview by the Honorary Secretary Teresa Riera Madurell. I'd like to thank everyone present today in this debate. At this moment, in which the debate on the conference on the future of Europe is heated, we felt it was important to contribute to make the legacy of a great Europeanist known to the citizen and the new generations, recalling a page in the recent history of Spain and the European Union. This event is organized by FMA in cooperation with the European Parliament Office in Spain, which I thank. I give the floor to Maria Andres Marin, head of the office in Spain.
Thank you, Monica, very much, and welcome everybody. So many important and relevant people here today to discuss on the future of the European Union, so important still today, and of course to commemorate on the importance of the life, so far professional life of Mr. Barón Crespo. Enrique Barón Crespo was a former EP president in 1989, the year of the fall of the Berlin Wall. He was the president while it happened, and he was also in charge of negotiations of the Treaty of Maastricht, among many other things. I will not take long. I think we all know, everyone that participating here knows the life and the professional life that he had so far, and we are here to discuss more, maybe a reflection of what was done in the past and how to face the future challenges in the European Union with people as important as Hans-Gerd Pöttering, the former as well EP president, who I would like to say hello, good afternoon, Mr. President as well. It was an honor to see you again. I didn't see you for a long time. And of course, Teresa Riera as well, and so many other people, Miguel Ángel Aguilar, Vice President as well of the European Parliament, so many important people. Mr. Barón Crespo, I don't know a lot of people who has the power to congregate about a book, 100 experts of the size of these people to just talk about yourself and your challenges and your successes during the life. I think having 100 friends is almost impossible, and you just got it around this book. I saw as well MEPs from different political signs, which is also very important, and it gives added value. I saw Jean-Marie Cavada, Ramon Jauregui, Íñigo Méndez de Vigo, friends as well like Yao Maduk, our Director General. So it is an excellent book. It is a very good opportunity to discuss of the past, the present, and the future challenges of the European Union. And thank you very much to the former Members Association for this great initiative. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Enrique, for giving us this wonderful opportunity to reflect through passionate testimonies on the future of Europe. It's a great pleasure for me to present today the Liber Amicorum of President Enrique Barón Crespo, una vida dedicata alla costruzione della democrazia europea, which features on the cover a significant photo of him portrayed between Simone Veil and Jacques Delors. A 240-page book edited by Domènec Ruiz de Veza with a coordination of Alejandro Peinado Garcia, written in Spanish and published by Marcel Pons in 2021. Which was promoted by the Union of Europeans and Federalists of Spain, together with the Spanish Federal Council of the European Movement, on the occasion of the 75th anniversary of the birth of Enrique, to transmit his rich heritage based on the pursuit of democracy and social justice in Spain and the European Union, through the testimony of 100 tests by friends, relatives, socialist comrades, academics, young and old federalists, presidents of the European Parliament, deputies and former deputies, ministers and former ministers, teachers, trade union, etc. Let me remember his beloved son Alejandro and other friends that I see connected as Vassallo and Mary Cruz Arcos. But especially I want to thank the President of the European Parliament, David Maria Sassoli, the High Representative of the European Union, Josep Borrell, the Spanish Foreign Affairs Minister, Arantxa González, the Vice President of the Spanish Senate, Cristina Narbona, former European Commissioners, Joaquín Almuña and Marcelino Oreja. I would like to thank the 11 members of our association who have made the contribution: Jose Maria G. Robles, myself, Carlos Maria Brucuron, Eric Calvet, Carlos Cornero, Juan Colom, Richard Carbet, Jo Leinen, Pasqualina Napoletano, Pasca Sauquillo, Anna Terron. Enrique Barón, lawyer and economist, was a constituent deputy in the Congreso de los Diputados, Minister of Transport, Tourism and Communication of the first González government, President of the European Parliament and FMA President. He speaks 7 languages and is an esteemed author of books and numerous articles on political, economic, and social issues. A true lighthouse of wisdom for our Europe. I met him in 1994 when I was elected very young in the European Parliament, but I had the opportunity to collaborate with him only since 2015 in the FMA board, where, thanks to his appreciated presidency, it was possible to implement the activity associative, realizing important cooperation, such as the fruitful of one of the with the European University Institute. He is currently president of the Unión de Europeísta y Federalista de España and chair of the Scientific Council of the Foundation for European Progressive Studies. The evident success of his political activity is accompanied by a rich cultural activity as esteemed president of the Fundación Eudi Menu in España, of Ars Pace, and of Legado Gandarias, of which I remember the extraordinary pilgrimage of the Guernica exhibition event among Spain, Italy, and Switzerland. Likewise, he very well holds the office of Vice President of the Fundación Gala Salvador Dalí and Chancellor of the United Nations University for Peace. Last year, due to his high merits, he was awarded by the honoris causa degree by the prestigious University of Sevilla with a beautiful and spectacular ceremony. He has always been convinced that the European citizen must be able to weave peace through the European Union. He was a forerunner of Erasmus, which he believes to go beyond the university period, offering continuing education opportunities to 500 million European citizens. He has long declared, also a persuasive supporter of the European movement, whenever I can push a project forward, I do it. I am convinced that Europe is the only project worthy of our world and our time. Witness of crucial moments in history, such as the fall of the Berlin Wall, when he held the presidency of the European Parliament, he has always believed that we must be united to carry out a community project, and each generation has the right to contribute to its own vision of one's country, of the world, and of history. Strong and determined personality, of great culture, with a special political and professional ability, he is endowed with great sensitivity that he manages to express discreetly only to those who have the good fortune to frequent him and to share political, social, and cultural experiences. He has great respect for people and is always ready to defend human and fundamental rights. Enrique will be interviewed by our esteemed honorary secretary, Teresa Riera Madurell, whom I sincerely thank for her very welcome collaboration. Teresa is professor and consultant for scientific policy of the Barcelona Supercomputing Center, that is the National Supercomputing Center in Spain, specialized in high-performance computing. She was professor for computer science and artificial intelligence at the University of the Balearic Islands and vice president of the Committee for Science and Technology and general speaker. She was member of the Parliament of the Balearic Islands, member of the Spanish Congress, member of the NATO Parliamentary Assembly. She was members of the European Parliament and a member of the Committee on Industry, Research and Energy, rapporteur for Framework Program of Research and Innovation Horizon 2020, managing to reach a final agreement by strengthening the European research and innovation system with particular support for scientists and researchers. And as she argues, Europe can no longer tolerate a brain drain motivated by the lack of opportunities for its researchers. I give the floor with great pleasure to Teresa, who is a member of the Unión de Europeístas y Federalistas de España Honor Committee.
Good afternoon, dear colleagues, dear friends. Thank you very much, Monica, for your kind words and for entrusting me with the responsibility of presenting this book on the important legacy that Enrique Barón Crespo give to the European project. And let me also to congratulate you, Monica, for the organization of the Librorum. I think these kind of meetings allow us to better know and to better understand the personality and the work done in Europe and for Europe by our great leaders, as it is the case of Enrique. Today, dear friends, we have the chance to dialogue with one of these Europeans that has a lot to say. We are going to talk with a very relevant politician and socialist, not only of Spain, but also of the whole European Union. In other words, we are going to have a conversation with a key person in our recent common history. And we are going to do so, as Monica and also Maria already said, on the occasion of the publication of the book entitled Enrique Barón Crespo, a life dedicated to the construction of the European democracy. As Monica already explains, a set of 100 writings that Domènec Ruiz very cleverly has put together. I want also to congratulate Domènec for the excellent work. I would like to start my brief presentation by saying that this is certainly a book that conveys gratitude towards a generous person, as it is noted in the foreword of the book. In this sense, Enrique, allow me to join the 100 people, colleagues, friends, relatives, academics, MPs, MEPs, professors, former presidents of the parliament, etc., who has written their contribution to this book. We all are people who share with you the European and democracy values. We are people who have read and listened to you, and that you always guide, inspire, help, and support, as it is my case, since the very moment when I met you for the first time. But I also like to make clear that this book speaks highly of Enrique, not only as a consequence of personal and political ties that the authors clearly exist. It speaks highly of Enrique for objective reasons that are obvious to anyone by only having a glance to his CV or to his biography. Enrique has gathered a political experience that only few can overcome. And perhaps for this reason, he is now one of the persons who has a more complete and a more exhaustive vision of the political reality of my country, of the European Union, and of the international relations as a whole, since he was an exceptional protagonist in the struggle against Franco's regimes, in the Spanish transition to democracy, and since 1977, in the Spanish democratic institutions and in the European Parliament. The different contributions of the book are like little pieces that in harmony allow to reconstruct the plural and diverse mosaic of his life history. To describe this, the prologue says that the book is a kind of polyphonic memory, an expression that I particularly like because polyphony appears in Europe. So polyphony is something as related to Europe as it is Enrique's own life. Let me go briefly through it. In the book, we are reminded that Enrique was born and raised in Madrid, in a family with a business and traveling tradition. His brother Rafael explains very well this part of his life in a very lovely contribution whose reading I strongly recommend to you. In the same city, Madrid, Enrique completed his university studies in law and in business administration, that continued later in Paris at the High School of Economics and Business Science. In Madrid, he was also university professor and practiced as a lawyer defending human rights in the times of the dictatorship. He began his political career also closely linked to Madrid. In the first democratic elections in 1977, he was elected member of the Spanish Parliament by the constituency of Madrid. In 1982, Enrique was Minister of Transport, Tourism and Communications when the Socialist Party won the election for the first time in the young Spanish democracy and Felipe González became president. And he served as member of the parliament till 1987, when he was part of the first generation of Spanish members of the European Parliament after the accession of Spain and also Portugal in 1986. From that period, there are excellent contributions in the book, remembering, for example, that Enrique, being Minister of Transport, with his extraordinary vision of the future that he has always had, was backing the construction of a high-speed train, the Spanish AVE, something that at that time was sounded like an utopia. And also, for instance, how since the very beginning of his political activity, he was convinced that the future of Spain lay in participating in the process of building a united Europe as promoter and as a team member. When Enrique began his brilliant European political career. Brilliant is the qualification used by most of the authors that take part in the book when they refer to the task developed by Enrique in the European Parliament. He served, as you know, as Vice President, President, Chairman of the Foreign Affairs Committee, President of the Socialist Group, Chairman of the International Trade Committee, and he also represented the European Parliament at the Intergovernmental Conference for the Lisbon Treaty, among many other leading responsibilities that he had. From that time, the book is full of stories and memories of crucial moments in our history, of which Enrique was a privileged witness, such as, for instance, the fall of the Berlin Wall that happened when Enrique was president of the European Parliament. I am not going to delve into this because I hope and I wish that when Enrique takes the floor, he will tell us firsthand the most relevant memories that he has from that time and the facts and moments that most impacted to him. What I also like to mention here is that Enrique is also a former president of the International European Movement, and that now he is president of the Union of Europeists and Federalists in Spain, and vice president of the Foundation for European Progressive Studies. All these organizations are very well represented in the book. I recommend you the excellent contributions by Maria Joao Rodriguez, the president of the Foundation, by my colleague in the European Parliament, Joe Leinen, also former president of the International European Movement, and also by Professor Pachi Aldecoa, who currently chairs the European Movement in Spain, where he explains why at the present time for Europe, the presence of leaders like Enrique in the pro-European organized civil society is more necessary than ever. There are many personal traits of Enrique that are highlighted in the book by many colleagues, relatives, and good friends, like Joan Colom, Joaquín Almunia, Paca Salquillo, that were already mentioned by Monica. But at this point, I would like only to emphasize what his son Alejandro says of his role of father and grandfather in his very touching contribution that I strongly recommend to read. My dear friends, if we had to seek consensus among all of us in highlighting only 3 of the Enrique's personality traits, I think we could easily agree in, first of all, his intelligence, political vision, ethical commitment, and academic rigor, as it shows in multiple occasions, and also proof in his academic publication and books that are many. Secondly, his capacity for action, his ability to generate consensus, and his political leadership, as he showed as minister, president of the parliament, of the socialist group, of the socialist delegation, and now he shows in all the organizations he's sharing. And third, I would like to highlight his sensitivity. Enrique loves music. Monica has explained it very well in her contribution. He is the president of Menuhin Foundation, among others, to help children to broaden their expectation in life through the music. He loves art, as he had the privilege of having a great artist, Sofia Gandarias, always accompanying him in his life experience. Now, Enrique and Alejandro continue spreading her work through a legacy bearing her name. And Enrique also loves nature. He loves skiing. I also attend those politicians in the snow meetings mentioned in the book. In this sense, I have enjoyed the contribution by Ignacio Vastallo on this topic, explaining how Enrique used the ski rules that he used to solve difficult situations in the mountains, also to react calmly and correctly in the difficult moments of his political and real life. And just to finish, let me say something very important that is obvious, that come obvious after reading the book. Enrique is a person with great and good friends, and with an altruistic sense of friendship. In the epilogue of the book, he writes something that touches me very much. He writes, I have verified that one is worth what his friends are worth. For what you are, Enrique, for what you have done, for what you do, and for no doubt what you will do in the future, Enrique, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And now, dear friends, I will give the floor to our President Hans-Gert Pöttering to start the dialogue with Enrique. Just let me to remind you that Hans-Gert Pöttering is also a former president of the European Parliament, that he served as MEP since the first direct elections in 1979 and continuously till 2014, that he was also chairman of his political group, his parliamentary group, and president of the Konrad Adenauer Foundation, among many other leading positions. And something that I like very much to remind, that being president of the parliament, he initiated the House of the European History that was opened in Brussels in 2015. For that project, he counted with the collaboration of Miguel Ángel Martínez, who is also here with us. At that time, Miguel Ángel was vice president of the European Parliament, and now he is also member of the management committee of our association. So it's a pleasure for me to give the floor to our president, Hans-Gert. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Teresa Riera-Madurell. I have never heard a colleague, a former colleague, a lady or a person being so nice to ex-presidents of the European Parliament, and especially to Enrique Barón Crespo, but I think you personally as well. And if I would not know that you and Enrique are socialists, I would say it was a beatification for Enrique Barón Crespo, what you said about him, but he really deserves it. He is a European saint in a way, if Enrique may accept this.
Yeah.
Before I speak to Enrique, I would like to thank Monica Baldi, Maria Andres Marin, and of course you, Teresa Riera-Madurell, and of course Dominic Ruiz de Veza. I have not yet seen him, together with Elisabetta Fong, for the excellent preparation of this Librorum today. And today is an important day, not only because we speak about this good book about Enrique, but today is the birthday of José María Gil Robles Gil Delgado. If I remember correctly, he is 86 years old. I tried to contact him this morning by telephone, but unfortunately I was not successful, but I spoke on his mailbox. And I hope that José María Gil Robles has a beautiful day today, and hope I can speak to him in the next days. Now coming to you, Enrique. But what should I say after this laudation of Teresa? Almost nothing has left. So I try to say what still is left. Enrique, you can be very happy, and I really mean it how I say it, happy and proud of your political life. And you are very lucky, because in politics now for President Sassoli, it's a difficult time because we have coronavirus, and it's difficult really to do what the President of the European Parliament would do. But when you were President of the European Parliament from 1989 to 92, it was a great change in Europe. And I want to thank you as a Christian Democrat, although I'm now a neutral person as president of the former Members Association, but I want to thank you as a German for your great contribution you have done to the involvement of the Germans, first as observers to the European Parliament from Eastern Germany, and then as members. And I remember that Chancellor Helmut Kohl, several times when we had meetings, he mentioned you and your support. And I want to mention as well Prime Minister González, who was helping Helmut Kohl much more than some Christian Democrats of the EPP. And Helmut Kohl never forgot this. And so it was for you an extraordinary time. when we had this change in Europe. And it was a great change, of course, for the European community, which later became the European Union. And I want to thank you personally. We were colleagues not only in the European Parliament, but we were colleagues as chairman of our specific groups. You were chairman of the Socialists, and I was chairman of the Christian Democrats. And if I remember correctly, in the Conference of Presidents, I did not sit right of you, I sat left of you. So this, I think, was quite a good position. And you, I don't know another example. Normally, politicians, when they become president of parliament, they have been president, not always, but sometimes president of their group, and then they become president of parliament. In your case, you first were president of the European Parliament, and then you accepted to be a real servant of your group. And I know how difficult the political groups are, not only your group, my political group as well. And you really served as a chairman of your group. It's to be a chairman of a group is really a service to the own political orientation. But then you were lucky again, because we in the European Parliament, and I'm very thankful that we could do it together, that we had to prepare the membership of Poland and Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, Hungary, Slovakia, Czech Republic, Slovenia, and then Malta and Cyprus, to prepare the membership of those countries to the European Union. And when I hear people speaking now about problems we have in Hungary and in Poland, I always say, okay, there are challenges and we have to solve them. And there are problems, challenges in other countries as well. But let's be happy that we have Hungary and Poland and the other countries in the European Union. And you made a great contribution. And I remember deputy in your time was Hannes Svoboda, and we had a very close cooperation as far as the future membership of those countries in the European Union is concerned. And I always admired what your identity means. And Teresa Madurell has spoken about your engagement as parliamentarian in Spain, as minister, and as European. And I'm deeply convinced, and I think this is something that unites us. You always defend, dear Enrique, the identity or the several identities which we have, that we are near to the people, the local level where we are born. In German, we speak fluently German. We call it Heimat. I don't know, there is not a real translation into English. Heimat, the local level. But Heimat is much more emotional as local level. And then we have our national identity. And then we are Europeans by our national identities. And so I think we have to show to the people for the future that we accept not only our European identity or our national identity or our local identity, that this belongs together. And I think this is very important for the future of the European Union. And we should not only look back, although you have reason to look back with great satisfaction. We are looking to the future. And you were part of the convention. You were part of intergovernmental conferences. And now we are looking to the future of the European Union. And some hours ago, I had a discussion with the president of the European Youth Parliament, at least from the German side. And they asked me, and there was a young student, a lady as well, and they both asked me, has the European Union a future? And I said, of course it has a future, because if the politicians and the people have a strong will to proceed with the European Union, we can succeed. And you are one of those persons who always had a strong political will, and you understood the European Union always as a union of values, the dignity of the human being, the freedom, liberty, peace, solidarity, and of course, human rights. And so I want to thank you for your great contribution. And this book, I have not read it because it's in Spanish. I cannot read Spanish, but I will look into it and then I might understand one or the other. And I want to thank you for your great engagement, for Spain, which is a very European country, for your engagement, for the European Union, for your engagement as President of the European Parliament. And I never thought that I one day would be your successor, but I have the honor to be your successor as President of the Former Members Association. And I think I can say, I hope you can accept it, you are a friend. We are friends, and let's continue and let's work together with others who have the same ideas. In one or the other case, we might be different because of our political orientation, but the basis is that we believe in the future of Europe, we believe in the freedom, we believe in democracy, and we believe in peace. And you have done a great part of our European unification process. And I thank you for that. And I wish you and your family, of your loved ones. I heard your son is called Alexander. This is a special name in European history as well. So we expect a lot from your son. So I wish you well. And I'm very happy that we can cooperate and work together. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Enrique has the floor.
Yeah. Well, good evening to everybody, and thank you for being today. I'm very happy because I have been introduced by, I think, Monica Baldi, Teresa Riera, Maria Andres, well, and the staff of the former members, and there was another man. One man. We are in a minority. This shows that Europe is changing very quickly. Well, let me explain first something about the book. This book was an unexpected present for my 76th birthday. You know, when you are a child, you are always looking for a present, and you are happy when you get a present. Well, I thought I was too old to get a present. Books, I have written 6 books, at least, about my European experience. And then this book is the fruit of a conspiracy, of a plot, because the day of my birthday, I got some phone calls, even from my son, but from Dominic and other friends, well, saying, have you received this report? And then I had no idea till I got in the evening the book by internet. Well, I must say that I was very happy. It was a big surprise. And moreover, this was not a book of the old guard of the parliament. Well, I share this experience with Hans-Gert Pöttering and other friends that I see today. And I want to greet especially our British friends. They belong to us, Graham and Morland and others. Yeah, you are Europeans, and you have done a great work for you. But the most important fact is, when I read the contributions, it was a proof that there is something that we can call, with the Article 3 of the Treaty of Lisbon, there is a solidarity among generations, because most of the people who have written contributions to this book, they were not, some of them were not born, but most of them were child when I was elected president of the European Parliament. I was elected very young. This is one of the problems that Hans-Gert mentioned, that other responsibilities. Well, because well, you must try to not to consider that to be president is the end of your life. But I even Hans-Gert, I accepted to be president of the socialist group because it was in trouble. I was not a candidate, and I consider that your praise coming from a Christian Democrat has a double value. But the main question is that most of the people who wrote contributions to the book, they are young people. It was a kind of message that was bringing us to the next generation EU. So the people who have been writing for this book, most of them are people who have to build, to work for the next generation of the European Union. And this is for me very important because, well, we tend, when we are senior members, we tend to talk about what we did in the past. And well, this is an open-ended constitutional process that changes the shape and the face of Europe and the history. And well, we must now consider that the young people, they have not only to accept our legacy, but they have to work in order to make a peaceful and constructive and present future of Europe. I think that for me, it was the best present for my for my birthday, because I have always worked for Europe. Well, this is Europe. I say always that in my political life, I had two loves. One of them was democracy in my own country, to be able to change history in Spain. Well, we are one of the European countries that has made many mistakes, but we were able to change history in our country. And for us, for my generation, to link Spain to its continent and its history was a very, very high priority. It was not a question of Marshall Plan. Well, this is always important, but it was a question of trying to participate in this very, I think, big, I don't know if I can use the word revolution, but the change of history that has produced the European Union. And I'm, for example, when Domenic and Alejandro, these people who have been the editors of the book, they asked me, what do you want as a cover of the book? I did suggest to put this picture, this photograph that, well, I think you have seen it. I am presenting my book on my experience as president with two very important Europeans that I am very closely linked to. Simone Veil, she was our predecessor, but she was the woman who expressed the dignity of Europe. And Jacques Delors, he was one of the big names. She's one of the big names. She's still alive. He's still alive. That was working in this period of European construction. So for me, this had a very precise sense. I would add another picture that is in my memoir, is, and Hans-Gert mentioned it, well, he mentioned the moment, is the picture of me with President Mitterrand and Chancellor Kohl, when I invited them to address the European Parliament the day after the falling of the Berlin Wall. And they came in a fortnight, and it was one of the most important meetings in the history in the European Parliament. So I do think that this expresses my commitment to the European construction. And I asked the editors one more thing. It was to put at the end of the book, as an epilogue, my speech to the Council of Maastricht, the Intergovernmental Conference, in the 11th of December of 1991. Because I addressed I got the first time, all the members of the European Council, they applauded me. So I don't know if the others presidents have got such a unanimity, and we were very aware of the historical moment. So, well, these are my comments. I do think that this is important to have a debate on the well, or to answer your questions. And I only want to end this introduction saying that, well, I am no more young. I am a senior member. I don't want only to talk about the past. We are in this moment beginning the conference on the future of Europe. And especially there is a big difference with the moment in the moment of the end of the Cold War, is that we have been able to take major decisions looking to our future as the European Union. On the political field, on the budgetary dimension, on our own organization. And I do think that, well, I want to participate and to collaborate. I am thankful to the former Members Association and to President Pöttering inviting me. We will meet in next week talking about well, our position on the conference on the future of Europe. And I do think that we can be, like I always say, we can work as architects and bricklayers in this process. I am ready. And thank you very much again.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Enrique. As I said when I started, for us, it's a great pleasure. And we thank you very much because you give us this wonderful opportunity to reflect through passionate testimonies on the future of Europe. We start the debate. I have to tell you that to ask the floor, you have to raise hand through the system. And I have 4, 5 asking the floor. And first of all, I'd like to give the floor to Domenic, but Domenic is trying to reach us, but it's a problem because he's on the train and he's not able to connect. We hopefully at the end, before the end of the debate, he can connect. I give the floor to the Pachi. There was Pachi connected, yes. Pachi Aldecoa, President of the Spanish section of the European Movement.
I know I am not Patsy, but I want to apologize himself because he is in Lisbon right now in the conference on the future of Europe, and he was here like 5 minutes ago, but he needs to go because there is a new events in Lisbon, so he couldn't make it at all. But he wanted me to say, Enrique, that congratulations, happy birthday one more time, and that he was so happy to participate in the book and be your friend and your colleagues in this European project that is your aim and his aim.
Yes, okay. Thank you. I can see Domenic. Maybe is Domenic connected? Okay, you can speak, Domenic, the editor of the book, as you know, MEP, and he has a lot, Vice President of Union of European Federalists, Spain section. So you have the floor, Domenic. Domenic?
Domenic, yeah.
Can you try?
Domenic, yeah, he's here.
Thank you, Monica, and apologies because I don't know if you can hear me well, but I'm because tomorrow we have the release. So thank you. of participating today, alongside, of course, Enrique Barón himself, the subject in a way of the book. And thank you to the former members association. It's very important to already develop a good relationship with the association, because one day we all be there sooner or later. And rather later than sooner.
Well, this is the only club to which you have not to get to go for an election.
Yes.
You become member automatically.
I'm very happy to be with my friend as well, Hans-Gert Pottering, the president, and also Teresa Riera. So I'm going to be very brief, given the conditions of my speech. But just to say that what we have tried to do in this book, which is something that it started as a private friend book or friendship book on the occasion of the 76th anniversary of Enrique Barón. We realized a bit too late. We wanted to do it for the 75th, of course, but we realized a little too late for the 75th. And after we gave it to him, we decided that it was worthwhile to publish it. And we also enlarged the original contributions to make it 100. And what we tried with these 100 contributors, which I take the opportunity to thank them all for their participation, and also my own team, mostly Alejandro Peinado, who was of great help in editing the book. We read all the texts, we edited them, and the idea was to have a mosaic of people, really. Personalities, very well-known personalities, but also personal friends of Enrique, young people whom he may not know as well as other people, but people that know him, and he's important for them. No? Remember what one, I think, was a worker during the Great Depression in the US. No, after the Great Depression, when Franklin Roosevelt passed away, and he was witnessing the ceremony, and a journalist asked him, "You seem very moved by the passing of FDR." And the journalist asked him, "Do you know FDR?" And he said, "No, but he knew me." Because of course, he knew very well his voters and for whom he was working for. No? That was the point. So, so I think it came out very well, this combination of 100 people, and also, of course, different also style of contributions. Some very short, some longer. Some took the opportunity to make some political points about Europe, while talking about their relationship or their knowledge about Enrique. So at the same time that we, in a way, have a composite biography, maybe, of Enrique. No? Enrique is a very important person for many of us, politically, culturally, and personally. And we consider that he deserved to be honored, no? With this, because he means so much to so many people. And at the same time, to tell his story from the different angles, no? So you see, of course, some more personal references, family references, political references.
Excuse me.
References that have developed movement. Yes?
No. We don't hear very well, Domenic. Excuse me.
No.
Okay, I'm going to wrap it up. I was saying that you have the different perspectives of Enrique, in a way summarized with a it's also a composite biography. And also some of us, so I think all in all, it came out well. And maybe what we should think now is about making an English edition. So everyone in Europe can read it, and not only those that can read Spanish. So again, many thanks for the opportunity to participate, and many greetings to you all and to Enrique in particular. Thanks a lot.
Thank you to you, Domenic, for your job, for what you did. We apologize for the translation in French, but it was impossible to do it because it was not connected through Zoom, so we apologize. If you don't mind, Enrique, we make 3 questions together and then we give you the floor, okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So we have Mary Cruz Arcos Vargas, professor at the University of Sevilla and president of the Andalusian Council of the European Movement.
Hello, hello, Monica, and thanks. For me, more than a question is just to say thanks, thank you for organize this season, and also for organize this book. Domenic, thank you a lot for organize this book. For me, it's really a pleasure to participate in this book because my history with Enrique Barón is very curious. I only will take 1 minute, but I want to say something about that. I knew Enrique Barón, well, as a president, as a former president of the European Parliament, as former minister. I follow what he did. And one day through the European movement, we have invited him to the university just to have a meeting with the student, to give a speech and to have a seminar with the student. And I discovered a wonderful person, really engaged with the European values. So after some time and after some visits to the Sevilla University, we proposed to organize to condecorate him with the honoris causa doctoral. And my rector said me, be careful, Maricruz, with a politician always, we have to be very careful because, you know, you give a distinction now and after you can find something in the past. And I said, don't worry, because with Enrique, we have really not only the best engagement with the values from the past, but also for the future. Always is a really lesson when we meet and when we hear. And I hope, Enrique, you do a lot of lessons also for the Conference of the Future of Europe. The future of Europe needs you and we need you. Please follow us now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Maricruz. Sorry, Enrique, do you want to answer now?
Well, only a comment is that I'm trying to preserve my virginal past.
Okay, so I give the floor to Michael Angel Martinez.
Like a saint, Enrique, like a saint, without nothing in the past to shame. Great, incredible.
I give the floor to Michael Angel Martinez, member of our board, from a member association.
Thank you, Monica. Having been for 15 years responsible for multilingualism in the Parliament, I'm going to carry on the intervention in French. Enrique,
we met when we were young freedom fighters in our country. And I am convinced that your book could have been called A Life Dedicated to Democracy in Spain. I am convinced that your participation in European democracy is linked to your awareness of the fight for democracy in Spain. I have to admit here that very often I was disappointed by a number of our friends, of our comrades in this fight for democracy. Because once the first results of our fight became obvious, I think many stopped fighting. And I have to say that Enrique Barón never stopped. He was always very consistent. And consistency is a value that we must demand for the future of Europe. All the values that I can see in Enrique Barón's life today are values that were already there almost 50 years ago when he was a young freedom fighter in our country. He and I fought with other people, but not everyone carried on the fight. They thought it was sufficient and that the future was up to others. Fortunately, it was not the case for Enrique. He is still a freedom fighter, a fighter for democracy in Spain and in Europe. Because you cannot stand for democracy and freedom in Spain if you don't stand for freedom and democracy in Europe. This is what I wanted to say, and I would like to thank you for organizing this meeting. And I'll read this book with the utmost interest. I think that this event should lead other colleagues to prepare books, other interesting books that enable us to keep on fighting for a better Europe, for a freer Europe. Thank you very much, Miguel Ángel.
Pharmacologist, professor, coordinator of the G20 Women Equity in Health Commission.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I want to thank you for this wonderful meeting and Enrique for this wonderful book. And I think that the spirit of the book is to speak about the past in order to go versus a new Europe that we need to build also after this terrible pandemic that changed many of our needs, and especially it's important that starting from the past to build a new Europe based on the need of all citizens, including the women and the disabilities and the other minorities. Enrique, I want to ask you how you can imagine the new Europe where the right of everybody is on the center.
Thank you. Monica.
Yes, Enrique, I want to give you the floor, but before giving you the floor, let me say hello to Alejandro, your beloved son, that now I see connected, because when I started, I just gave him our heart. So thank you, Alejandro, to be with us. Enrique, you have the floor. Thank you.
Yeah, no, je voudrais d'abord dire à Miguel Ángel.
Let me first answer Miguel Ángel.
En langage 68 art.
To use the words used by people in the 1968 Spain and Europe is the same fight. The best way to remain young is to continue to work.
To Flavia Franconi.
And now to Flavia Franconi.
the worst pandemic we have been able to overcome as Europeans has been war. This is the best, the biggest miracle of the European Union. Because, for example, from the current pandemic, we are showing that working together with solidarity and with ability, at the beginning, it was not clear. At the beginning, everybody wants to take refuge at home. But now we have shown that we can, together, Europeans, with solidarity and with hard work, we can overcome and conquer the pandemic. Well, perhaps the fact to have a doctor that is a woman, president of the commission, has something to do with it. Yeah. And Ursula von der Leyen is not, she doesn't belong to my political group, but I have a great respect for her management of this pandemic.
Thank you, Enrique. It's a great pleasure to give the floor to Graham Watson.
Thank you, Monica, and congratulations, Enrique, on a remarkable career. You have made a huge contribution to Europe and indeed to the lives of all of us who have had the honor and the pleasure to work with you. And I think it is only fitting that a book should record this. And I thank those who have been involved in putting it together. I'm like Hans Gert, I don't speak any Spanish, but I speak Italian and French, so I will try to read this book in the hope that one day it will be translated. But I wanted to ask you, Enrique, if I may, and I know this is not really an occasion for asking questions, but I think you have interesting things to say on this. I'd like to ask you, somebody from a country like yours, which has played such an important role in the development of America, I want to ask you how, in the light of Biden's visit, how you see the future of the transatlantic alliance in a world in which the democracy, the principles of democracy for which you have fought so hard, seem to be increasingly threatened.
Yeah, well, yeah. May I comment answer very shortly? Well, thanks, Graham, for your praise, because I am so pleased to get so many praises. But on the question, I am in favor of strengthening the transatlantic alliance, and I do think that that Biden represents to recover on new basis what has been a very important relationship, and I would dare to say that in the current world, I say very often to my Latin American friends that it would be very important not only to talk about transatlantic relationship with the United States. I do think that Canada and Mexico can play a big role, and I would be in favor of having a bicontinental approach. I don't know if I'm going too far, but well,
yeah,
you have to dream, and this is a big dream, and it's part of our history.
Thank you, Enrique. I give the floor to a young lady, Giulia Calamassi, graduate in International Relations and G20 Women Collaborator.
Good evening to everybody. I am deeply, deeply happy to be here today. And since your remarkable engagement for the themes of democracy and liberty and peace. I would like to ask you if you could talk us about your role and your experience in the University for Peace of the United Nations.
The University of Peace, yeah. Well, this is a university based in San Jose de Costa Rica. Costa Rica is a little big country, very progressive. I think that the proportion of women, important women in Costa Rica is the highest in the world. And they are, in this moment, reaching the autonomy in renewable energies. So this is important. A big president, Carazo, founded the university in the process of peace in the 80s. And this is recognized in this part of the United Nations. And in the University for Peace, there are people, young people coming from all the continents. I would say that, for example, Asians, traditionally Japanese, but now Chinese, they are very, very interested, more than Europeans. And we are training and forming young people in order to become monitors and specialists in not only in promoting peace, but in handling and in managing the process of peace. This means that this is not only to bring an olive branch. This means that it's important to have a training and a preparation. Well, and I am very proud of it. And I do think that this is a noble cause that we have to foster and to develop. Yeah, thank you for the question.
Thank you. Thank you, Enrique. We put the last three questions together because we have a few minutes. First of all, Jo Leinen, who contributes with an interesting article inside the book. So thank you, Jo Leinen.
Yeah, good evening. This is not your first book. I remember when I came to the Parliament in '99, that you dedicated to me already a book about the idea of Europe. And I was already impressed from the very beginning, some 30 years ago. And as my chair and president of the socialist group, I really found that you are very authentic in defending democracy and freedom. And it was said here in the meeting, your history. And that was really a very original, authentic, always fight that you expressed if things touch democracy and the freedom of opinion. Now, I have to thank you for all you have done. And I know that when I came to the Parliament, I was president of Union of European Federalists, a little bit over-motivated. And in one meeting when I made you nervous, you said, Joe, I am a true federalist, but I'm not federast, because I was so inclined for a European constitution and everything that the truly Italian Spinellist wanted at once. I learned my lesson with Jean Monnet that it goes step by step and not with a big bang. Anyway, you answered already my question. How is it possible to stay intellectually and physically so fit and still on the forefront of all the battles? You should repeat your answer because I want to follow you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Jo. And now, Manuel Porto, members of the board of our association.
Contact? Yes. It's okay?
Yes.
Well, so a few words. I am very happy to be here. Congratulations to you, Monica, and the association for these initiatives. They are wonderful to put us together. It is better to go to Brussels. Anyway, in the coming week, you will come to Lisbon, not personally, but you are waiting for you in Lisbon, many people, and the president will address to you some words and so on and so on. So this is About Enrique, so you were the first president. You mentioned two people who I would like to also to remember: Simon Weil from my group, and Jacques Delors, who was in this house, in my house. I invited him. I was very lucky. But my question, Enrique, is the following. So we are neighbors, Spain and Portugal. My family is from Elvas, not far from your region, so near Badajoz. Since I was born 78 years ago, I used to go to make shopping in Badajoz. And my question is very precise, is the following. In to which extent to be together in the European Union has contributed to a closer approximation between Spain and Portugal? Because it is my feeling, when in football, if Portugal plays against Spain, we are in favor of Portugal. But if it is not the case, you are in favor of the Spanish teams. And I think the reverse is true. So it was a dream to be in the European Union. I was never persecuted by the old regime, I should say that. But anyway, it is like a dream to be in democracy. But my precise question, do you think that this integration together, in 86 of Spain and Portugal, did contribute still more to the approximation of our countries and of our regions? This is my precise question.
Muito obrigado, Manuel.
Obrigado. Esperamos quinta-feira em Lisboa, em sexta-feira. Estamos à vossa espera aqui, em Lisboa. É comer bacalhau.
Muito obrigado.
May I answer?
No, just the last one, Enrique, if you don't mind, so you answer to everybody. The last one is Margarita Staviciute. Oh, my friend, it's very difficult, your last name. Staviciute. Margarita, you have the floor.
Yeah. Okay, it's Lithuanian one. Yes. It's Lithuanian one, so difficult. I have read your memoirs about the fall of Berlin Wall, and I know that you was a president of the European Parliament during major democratic changes in the Central European and Baltic countries. Now situation is similar, and democratic changes are brewing in Belarus and Russia. So would you consider to return back to diplomatic activity to help or to facilitate this change? And I suppose that you still have a lot of contacts, a lot of experience, and it could make a difference as sincerely performance of our diplomats, European Union diplomats in Russia and Belarus are somehow a little bit disappointing. Thank you.
Thank you to you. Enrique, you have the conclusion in your hand, and then we...
Well, I will answer the two last questions. Well, first, on the relationship between the Iberian countries, Portugal and Spain, on football, on soccer, I do think, and I share this with my son, Alejandro, that the Portuguese team is probably one of the best ones. And I would be very happy if they win. Yeah? On our relationship, I remember when Mario Suarez, he was awarded with the doctorate honoris causa in Salamanca. He said, since the 12th century, this is the first time we are in all the same alliances in the world. Yeah. I'm not going so far like other Portuguese. For example, José Saramago, he told me very often, well, I'm in favor of an Iberian federation. I always had an answer. This is, you have said it. Well, I can support you, but it's better if a Portuguese says this, the first. Okay, do you understand me? By the way, there are very good bacalhau dishes in Spain too. So we share this. It was the food of the poor people for centuries. Now it's a delicacy. On the question of Margarita, I do think that we were able to integrate the three Baltic republics because it was the falling of the Berlin Wall and the end of the Cold War. And I think it was a very important step. Having listened and seen the announcement of the European strategy on the relationship with Russia that was announced by the Vice President of the Commission, by Josep Borrell, and having listened very carefully to the meeting Biden-Putin, I do think that Europeans will have to follow with a very firm position in the situation in our relationship with, especially with Russia, because Belarus, the problem is, I'm not an expert on this matter, but Belarus, the risk is not only having trouble with the European Union, with the sanctions. The problem is the disappearance of Belarus as a country by the new Tsarist Russia. So this is a very delicate question, but I do think we have to be very firm, and we have to have a very clear line in the European Union.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you, Enrique. Thanks to all of you who have contributed with your participation to make this virtual meeting special. I sincerely thank Enrique, who has revealed interesting anecdotes that occurred to the process of European construction, and Teresa, who was able to grasp the important key elements of this celebratory book. Thanks even to Brigitte Langenhagen, that I see, and even all the members of our association that they are here present. I express my gratitude to Maria Andreas Marin, head of the European Parliament office in Spain, for the support, and to our General Secretary, Elisabetta Fonck and Elise Bravo, for the organization. The next two Librorum meetings will be scheduled after the summer break, so happy holiday. Now it's with truthful thanks that I give the floor to our president, Hans-Gerd Pöttering.
Carissima Monica, thank you so much for giving me the floor for 1 minute. I want to ask Enrique, there are two pictures behind you, two photos. Is on one picture François Mitterrand together with you and Helmut Kohl?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so it's
you have right. An eagle, this is an eagle eye. And the second one is the day I received in Strasbourg Nelson Mandela. He was coming from the island. And the first trip he made, it was to get the Sakharov Prize that he couldn't get on time. These are very important pictures for me and for Europe.
And you can be proud that you met these great personality. And it was François Mitterrand saying in the European Parliament in Strasbourg, nationalisme, c'est la guerre. Man. And that is exactly the foundation of Europe. And you said it, it's peace. And we belong, whether one is a socialist, a Christian Democrat, liberal or green or whatsoever, we Europeans, we are a family. And in a family, there are difficulties, but we have to overcome the difficulties and we have to go together into the future. And the last word, and I think I heard it from you, Enrique, when we spoke about transatlantic relations and President Biden. And I think we Europeans have a great chance now with President Biden. Remain transatlantic, but become more European, because we don't know what the future brings, and we have to be more responsible ourselves. And so, Enrique, thank you for your great contribution to the unification of our continent, to the unification in Europe, and I'm looking forward to meet you soon. And the last person I'm seeing on my screen is a nice face of Monica Baldi, and I hope to see all of you very soon, and we continue to cooperate in friendship for a united Europe. Thank you so much, and have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All the best.
All the best.
All the best. Thank you.